Hey, so my name is Deli, and if you're new here, this is the channel where we talk about stepping into the lead role of your own life through lots of different resources. But today I'm going to be talking about the Enneagram, and I'm going to also overlay it with style because style is just a storytelling tool. And the Enneagram shows you what story you tell yourself about yourself and the world. So let's dive in. If you are new to the Enneagram is I would say that it is a neurological way in which we process the events that occur in our lives through a certain adaptive strategy. I think there's still lots to explore about what the Enneagram actually is. What we've come to find out over the years is that it seems to be really accurate. Being able to prove what's actually going on, I think, is one of the next steps for what's happening with the Enneagram, and I think that's really exciting. So let's start with, or rather, if you're new to the Enneagram, I have several other videos. Go check those out. I break down at least an overview of each of the types. There are 9 types, essentially 9 ways in which you view yourself, your place in the world, how you adapt, and a lot of other things. And today I want to talk about the 3 triads. So there's the first triad, 2s, 3s, and 4s. A lot of discussion about what they should be named, at least in the spheres that I'm a part of, which I love. Historically, they've been known as the heart types or the feeling center. I think that what it actually is that they are the social group. They are able to understand very quickly and adeptly what's going on in the social spheres that they're in. Who's connected to who? Who am I connected to? Who's connecting with me? All of those sorts of things. Some people have even called it the bonding triad, which I like. That seems closer. And so I'm going to talk about how that center will approach style. Then you have 5s, 6s, and 7s, and this is the head center, right? They move through the world by using more of an analytical approach, right? Using thoughts to essentially get their motive met. And then you have 8s, 9s, and 1s, and they are the body center. They move through the world on an instinctual gut level. I think that what they are doing is when they step into any environment, they have a very deep intrinsic understanding of who they are in the space and also what this space is doing or offering or where it's not working. It's very instinctual is what I want to keep coming back to, but it's a very physical awareness. So how would these 3 centers approach style? Let's start with I'm going to say heart center just because that's what's been used, but I also want to note that caveat that I said at the beginning. 2, 3s, and 4s are highly aware of where they are in connection with others, who likes them, who doesn't like them, who likes who doesn't like who. Like, this is going to be fairly automatic for 2, 3s, and 4s. And I think one of the ways in which they are most likely to approach style is through the lens of what do other people think about me. I will put an asterisk next to 4s, and I will get there. But there is a big sense of wanting people to see you, wanting people to connect with you, or at least having, I think the healthier you get, probably more agency over who you want to connect with you and how far you might be willing to go to make that happen, right? Those are all growth points for this center. And I'll go through each of those 3 types just really quick about what they might be doing, just I want to say that this is really neutral. Jackie Contessa has some great content on the Enneagram. I'll put her in the description below. So if you're interested in doing some more deep dives into like motivations and behaviors. But 2s are, I was talking about neutrality. I think that none of these are necessarily right or wrong. It's just, is it working for you? And this is just the knee-jerk reaction each of these types might have when they approach style or storytelling. So twos are going to, I think, be very adaptive to changing their style based on the people they're around, and very specifically the attention they want from people that they hope notice them and will fill their needs. Threes, I think, will dress in a way where they can make sure people perceive them as being successful, right? I think that threes are going to be very good at knowing, like, okay, who do I want to see me as successful and having achieved or having gained some significance, right? And how do I dress to impress them, right? The dress to impress, I think, is going to be a lot for 2, 3s, and 4s, although it might be for the other types. We'll see as I keep going through. 4s, remember when I said that little caveat about dressing for others? For 2, 3s, and 4s, yes, I think that 4s are still dressing for others. Hear me out. 4s are motivated by wanting to be seen for who they truly are on the inside, which makes it sound a little bit like they're dressing for themselves, and they are, but they're dressing in a way, they're, I think, the most likely to approach style as a way to say, see all of who I am, right? Which still has a relational focus, still has a desire to be connected with, right? But we want to be connected with based on this, the fullness, the trueness of who we are. Yes, that's what and I also want to say that for 4s, they may also dress in a way to want to appear unique and significant, which I go over in some of the other videos as well. Pros and cons to all of these, as you'll probably start thinking about as we go through all of the types. So yes, 2, 3s, and 4s, I think, inherently know how to dress in order to create connection. What kind of connection each of them want is different. All right, 5, 6s, and 7s. I think that this is going to be our most practical triad. I think that with a little nod to 9s, and I'll get there in a second, I think that 6, 7s, and 5s all want to be prepared. They want to be well resourced, right? What their resource that they find most important is different for each of those types. I think that they're going to be the most likely to be a bit heady in how they approach their style. It's going to be a very analytical thing. I think that out of all of the types, these are going to be, I think, and we can tell me if I'm wrong, these are going to be the most likely types to say style doesn't matter. Because I think that without meaning to, they can get kind of disconnected from their body because they're so in their head, right? But I say that too, and I think that some of them might analyze really easily, like, oh, you know what? Style is just a way to help me get where I want to go, right? So 5s. 5s are going to approach style the most analytically of all of the types. And they're going to approach style in a very... the observation I would bet that they have is will dressing this way gain me the information I need most efficiently and effectively? Or will this help me get my things accomplished with the least amount of energy going outward? I know that I said this in some of the other videos, but 5s, I think, are going to be the most likely to have a uniform, most likely have like the things that they know that they wear every single day, and that's really helpful for them because then they don't have to spend too much energy. And that's an analytical strategy. If you are a 5 and you are into style systems, I think this also makes a ton of sense, because if you have noticed that it takes more energy to get where you want to go because how people are interacting with you isn't efficient for the end goal, I think that there's an objective way 5s will say, okay, what needs to happen in order for me to reach my goal. I don't know yet if Andy Sachs from Devil Wears Prada is a 5, but somebody left a comment and I can't stop thinking about it, that of her pitch that Andy Sachs from Devil Wears Prada, so Anne Hathaway's character, is in fact a 5. And this would be really important to know, right? Like the moment that Andy realizes her job is harder to accomplish because she's not figuring out how to dress a certain way. And therefore, she finds somebody who's an expert, very analytical, right? And has them help her, right? Dress in a way where she gets the easiest path forward, right? The least resistant path forward. So let me know in the comments below if you're a 5, whether or not that resonates. But again, very analytical. I think for a lot of 5s, it's like, does this help me or doesn't it? 6s. Let's talk about being prepared. Again, analyzing style based on, does this get me the most amount of options for whatever I might have to face? Again, very heady approach, very analytical. I also think that 6s will like style systems. I think that some of the issue with a lot of the style systems for 6s is that some of them just don't take into consideration the fact that we have practical needs, right? I think Ellie Jean Royden does a good job with this, right? Like the stone style route, or having even like I would say the mushroom style route could be really helpful for 6s if they want to like look a little elevated, but that it's in a casual way. But again, none of those are really even talking about dressing so that you're the most prepared, right? What aesthetic is that? But again, it's a very analytical way of approaching style. So if you're a 6, let me know if style systems have helped you, because I wouldn't be surprised if because both 5s, 6s, and 7s like to gain a lot of information, right? Head types. Other types do, but this is how they move through the world almost without, like, it's just natural to them. I wonder if gathering all of the data that's out there about the systems and what works for you, what doesn't work for you, can kind of put you at peace. Like if you're a 6 and you find out that, again, I'll use Ellie Jean Royden, that you're a medium tall or medium long narrow body type in the body matrix, that information helps you be prepared for when you go out and buy clothing, or like even prepared of like, I now know what works for me. And therefore when I start building my closet and I have this resource of my clothes available, I know how to dress in a way that's going to help me be the most prepared. Again, let me know if that tracks. I also think that 6s, I feel like this is true for 6s. Like there's a sense of like, very practical, wanting to be prepared. I think that 6s might be one of the other types that are likely to be like, I'm just not going to care about style. This is too much. How could I possibly like look good and be prepared? And again, if you are a 6 and there's a style system out there that's really helped you like meld those things together, I would love to know. I think that's really helpful. Okay, let's go to 7s. 7s, again, move through the world by analyzing. They're thinking, but what they're thinking about is making sure that there's opportunity available, that they're not going to get stuck, that there's a sense of adventure and fun and spontaneity available for them. And I think when it comes to how they approach their style, that's what they're going to be doing. Thinking about, is this fun? Does this make me feel more free? Is this something that I think that 7s are going to have the most easily able to intellectualize if an outfit or an aesthetic makes them feel more fun, more free, whatever that version is for that particular 7. But it's still done in a heady way. They're still going, okay, this works for me. This is why. And when I'm in this scenario, this is why I like wearing these things. I think that that's going to be a really seven way to approach. Is there anything else about I do think that sevens will find style systems useful, but I think that sevens might be the least likely out of all of the types to feel like they need them. Let me know if you're a seven. Is that true? I'm thinking of the sevens I know in my life, and it's like they'll find it fun to like learn about the system, or like, oh yeah, okay, so this is my color season. That's cool. But then it's like, but I'm still just going to do what I want. Yeah. So yeah, let me know. Let me know if that pings. And then let's move on to the body types. So again, I think that eights, nines, and ones have a very instinctual way in which they approach clothing. I know that I've mentioned this in my other videos, but eights genuinely, like, I just think that when they get dressed, if it doesn't automatically align with, like, it's a gut feeling, like, if this doesn't make me, I don't even know if I want to use the word feel, but like, this doesn't make me feel like the powerful person I know I am, I'm not wearing it. And that sense of power will change from 8 to 8. Like what does power feel like for each of them, I think. But there's like a real groundedness in 8s, 9s, and 1s, I think, when they approach style. It's like, this works for me. I can't even tell you why, but it does. And I think 8s do this in a way where they automatically like dress in a way that's very powerful and strong, and like they got their stuff together. And sometimes, like, again, that might be jeans and a t-shirt, but it's still like they're wearing that outfit because it works for them. I wonder if Miranda Priestley is an 8. Maybe I have to watch The Devil Wears Prada and do a breakdown. Let me know if that would be interesting to you guys. Okay, 9s. Remember when I said the caveat about 5s, 6s, and 7s being the most practical, and 9s being the caveat there? And maybe a little bit of 2s, but again, different reason. Again, the approach for 9s is still very instinctual. I think that 9s have, again, an instinctual way of knowing that clothing either makes them feel comfortable and calm or not. And that's how they dress. Man, the gut type, the 8, 9s, and 1s, I wonder if like every time I've talked about them, I talk about them the least because of this factor. It's just like such an instinctual way that they approach style is like, this feels comfortable, this feels harmonious, therefore I'm wearing it. I think where 9s could be benefited from style systems is like things like color and even different, well, just the information can help them know what can support them in just making sure they're telling the story that they want to tell with their style and not just being comfortable. It's a little like 6s, right? Like, you want to be comfortable. Does style fit in there? Absolutely. Style is just a story. And the question is, if you know that, so let's use color analysis for a second. If you know that you are a soft summer, which means that you are lighter, cooler, and soft in your color chroma. I'm not going to get into all of it. We got other YouTube channels for that. And therefore, bright, clear, and warm colors make you look a little yellow or a little sallow, or like the story you end up telling just because of how the color looks against you creates an interesting impact. Like, it's like it doesn't quite fit. Again, not wrong or good, right? It's not good or bad. It is just the impact those particular colors will have on you. And therefore it'll be like, oh, that person's trying to be quirky or unique or interesting and weird or something like that. And if that's not the story you want to be telling, then don't you want to know that? Don't you want to make sure that you are dressing in a way where you're having authority and agency over that experience you're having for yourself and others? And you don't have to compromise on comfort for that. You don't. And again, a very instinctual way for 9s, and there's a gut reaction, I think, when they put on clothing, like either this is comfortable or it's not. It's either working for me and it's not. And it's probably viewed from that lens of, is it harmonious? Because it's such a physical lens too, I think that 8s, 9s, and 1s are the most likely to like be able to put color combinations together in a easy, effortless way. Whereas for somebody like me, it has taken years to figure all of this out. I had to rely on other systems to do it. So, okay, let's go to 1s. 1s, again, instinctual, but it's going to be instinctually knowing what is appropriate and proper, perhaps even powerful, because, we're still in the triad that wants control over themselves and their environment. And they're going to have, again, I just think this really instinctual way of knowing how to dress in a way that says, I'm in control of myself. I can do this job. I am a respectable person here. And that's how that's a story I think that they just automatically tell, right? That's the thing. All of us, the Enneagram is a storytelling tool it's a storytelling thing that we have. How and why we don't totally know yet. But we know that if you tell yourself that the way you're going to feel safe is by creating connection with people, therefore the way you approach style, which is another storytelling tool, is going to be done in a way where you're connecting with people, right? If you are moving through the world from a very analytical and strategizing point of view in order to make sure you have the resources you need, then you might approach style from the same kind of storytelling lens. And then the same thing for 8s, 9s, and 1s. The story you're telling has something to do about creating harmony and justice inside of yourself and the world around you. And therefore, the way you dress is going to have like an instinctual edge towards those things. And for 1s, dressing in a way where you share the story of I'm good, I'm being proper, perhaps even powerful, although I don't think 1s will ever push it. And there's like a natural sense of respect. And again, that style story would have to be different based on different environments. But I think that 1s are going to have a natural inclination to know what's appropriate for the circumstances they're going in. So, okay, that's what I've got for the triads and a little bit of perspective about how each of the types operate and how they might then approach style. Let me know in the comments if any of this resonates, what you might nuance. Love the nuance. And then also, I do offer Enneagram guiding conversations. So if that's of interest, check out the link down below. I also do astrology and style readings. I love doing them. I think it's incredible how impactful they've been. So let me know if that's of interest. You can check out my website for all of my other offerings, and I will see you in the next video. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, like, maybe even comment. Okay, bye.